This is Scratch Your Own Itch, the one show that delivers the conversations that we're afraid to share, but need to. This show is all about creating a life worth living. I'm Logan Tyler Nelson, and I'm your host. So, you're going to hear conversations with creators and entrepreneurs talk about what they do, their current and past traumas, how they became who they are, and what they are truly curious about. This is the show where we talk about the things we think about a lot, but need to talk about more. Please take note that this show is not a substitute for actually creating a life worth living, because this show will stir your beliefs, make you question what it means to create a life worth living. So my promise to you is to always give you one question to answer for yourself today to start turning your dreams into a reality. Yes. Hello, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this podcast, especially when I know you can be doing anything else right now, like watching a Netflix show or maybe working out and listening to some awesome music, but you chose to listen to this, which means the world to me. So thank you. I want you to take a moment and just know that you came here for a reason and that you're the authority of your life, and you didn't just randomly select this, but you really are here to listen to this for a reason. And for that, my friends, you are in for a treat. Thank you so much, because I have Eugenia Kuzmina with me today. And she is got quite the bio. Oh my God. She is incredible. She's a comedian, an actress, a model. I could go on and on and on. She's actually been in a couple of things that you might have heard of, such as she's appeared in Likeness. She's also been cast in a John Turturro film. She's also been cast in a Woody Allen film, Fading Gigolo. Recently, Eugenia worked the opposite of Bill Murray in Rock the Casbah. Come on. If you aren't excited to just hear that little bio, I don't know what will excite you. I'm not going to waste all day telling you about her bio, because you can read in the show notes if you'd like. I just want to give you an opportunity to give us the warm welcome to the one and only Eugenia Kuzmina. Thank you so much, Eugenia.
Hi, Logan. I'm so excited to be here with you, and also, everyone, and talking about Netflix. What is your favorite show on Netflix?
What? You're asking me right now off the bat? She's interviewing me now. I'd say the best Netflix show that I currently love is probably New Girl, since you have been on it.
Thank you. That's so sweet of you. I actually just watched The Greatest Hack, and it's an amazing movie. It's an amazing documentary for anybody to learn about social media and, anything about, if you're an influencer or anything you're doing online. So
straight up, that's a crazy documentary. I've seen that too. If you want to get mad at social media and how much they take from you and how powerful those tech companies are. Oh, man.
But I think you have to get yourself educated about, what you're putting out in the world and, about your rights as a human, too.
Agreed. So, Eugenia, I would love to ask you, what is a short little story that's come from your life that has an underlying valuable message from it?
It's funny, because I think as humans, we always make stories in our minds, and they kind of define us in our life. So I think reflecting on things that happened to me, I think my dad has a huge influence, because he was a nuclear scientist. He was part of Chernobyl. It was really big, and instead of princess stories, I heard stories about Chernobyl. So for me, but in a way that you have to inspire people to do something with their life and to be part of nature. There's so many things. So I think that was the story that was very fundamental to my upbringing. And, I had to reflect on it. I had to let it go. So that was one of the interesting stories that was part of my life.
What what do you think really is it that we need to know about your area of expertise or your industry?
Um, I feel like as a model, I was just thrown into the business, but I always was trying to find my voice. I was born in Soviet Union and I didn't feel it was the end of Soviet Union, so I felt not connected. I felt the regime was ending. And when we were going to school, we had all these history lessons and I felt it wasn't real, because it was based on this regime that we had for 70 years. So history is a very flexible subject. And I think I was a very rebellious child who didn't obey the rules, and that was hard. But then modeling wasn't my voice either. So I think answering your question, the most important thing is finding your voice.
So I kind of want to get a little bit more into that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it requires some sort of pivot, some traumatic event that happens in one life to actually find their true voice?
I think everybody has a traumatic event. Life is not something that, you can put things like Instagram filters on top of that, but I think everybody has something that happens to them. It's just, just part of life. So I think as long as you are reflective of that and aware of that, of those things, I think life goes up and down. Then, I think you can find your voice in that.
I want to ask you what your favorite movie is from your, do you consider yourself a comedian or a model? What's your favorite movie that kind of relates to that?
It's really hard to point one movie because there are so many stories which are amazing. And also, looking at all the artists, I look at directors as real artists because they kind of, they kind of paint the whole thing. So it's really hard to point one. I mean, I love Scarface. I love Oliver Stone movies. I love Tarantino movies too. I love Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill. My husband's name is Bill, so that's why I love it. I have a special connection to that. But it's really hard to point one movie. I love Citizen Kane. There's certain movies that you go back to, Easy Rider. But they're definitely current movies too. Hierarchy, have you seen that? The horror film? I think it was really good.
No.
So, okay, yeah. I mean, it's with Toni Collette. She's an amazing artist. So, you always look at like specific message that people are trying to say and the way they create it. So it's really exciting. I mean, I can't really say there's one storyline or a movie that shaped me because in Russia we never had movies. We had propaganda films from Soviet Union, so I didn't grow up in that I grew up in a very different culture.
Okay, let's kind of go that way. I'm really curious because of your background and especially being from Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you like? In your opinion, what's the key to happiness?
Well, I think people misunderstand happiness as the reach goal, so a lot of times you kind of have a control issue and you want to reach happiness, right? But happiness is just one of the states. There are so many states that life brings to you. There are so many colors. So I think, the key to life, I would say, is just to accept everything that's happening in the moment. That's what I learned, and it's just my experience. And happiness, it is just part of it, and it's an amazing part of it. It's like this bright blue color or whatever color you love, but it's definitely not a defining state that you want to reach. And I think a lot of times, and, myself included, you want to reach and put a point to that. But I think it's a control issue more than anything. I think as long as you accept every color in life, it becomes beautiful.
Oh, that's just, I love that. I love hearing that. Which brings me on to my next topic is this vulnerability thing. I think that a lot of us we talk about, the highlights of our life, even our bio. No one would put in their bio like broken up with 6 times, or never found love, or
Yeah.
like some sort of big failure. They usually flaunt this stuff, but I like to talk about a little bit of the failures. I like to talk about even something that maybe happened to you recently where you cried because it was so traumatic. What was the last time that brought you to your knees and maybe even go, what am I doing? What am I thinking? And kind of take us back.
Well, I think, I cry every day, but, I think being in a relationship for 10 years, I've been married for 10 years with my husband. So that's something that's really interesting, and it's very special, because the relationships, they bring out the best and the worst of you. And it's the clearest mirror that you can see. So every time you look back at that mirror, it's not a black mirror like on Netflix, but it's a real mirror. So you see yourself very clearly, and that brings you down to your knees, every time. Because it's very easy to walk out of a relationship. It's very easy to deny anything, but it's very hard to see yourself, um, you know, through other people. So I think, and especially like intimate people, people who you're in a relationship with, who you have kids with. So that makes me cry every time. But also, of course, now the events of our life, I think our life is so bipolar right now, at least in the United States, I feel. So every day brings me to my knees, every day, just praying. So yeah, it does.
I kind of want to hear something more specific. Anything kind of like really like come to your memory, something specific that may have just been like, why? I can't believe this is happening to me.
Um, I've been really good with boundaries recently, so it's been much better. Um, but I think everything that's happening in the world of politics, just because I was so close to it, and the world of news is bringing me down to my knees, because I know that there is much more behind it than it's revealed in the news. So I kind of can't believe that I live in this world. Um, I think that, yeah, it's hard to say like one. I mean, my dad died when I was 15, so that was a huge thing, for me, because I wasn't sure what happened to him, and like a lot of people who were connected to Chernobyl died, not of natural cause. So that was very tough. Um,
I
but
lost my mom when I was 11, so I know what that's like. It's like,
yeah,
I don't know if you've had this happen to you at all, but the denial period where like all of a sudden you don't believe it, you don't believe it, you don't believe it, and then all of a sudden like hits you like a ton of bricks where you're like, I'm never gonna be able to talk to that person ever again.
absolutely. I was in a huge denial. Yeah, I think it's still like, thank God for therapy, and I think it's so healthy to go to a therapist. It's so healthy for anybody. And I denied going to therapists for such a long time, but yeah, I totally can relate to that. I think it's a trauma that you need to face, and it's part of your life, and it's very important. And it did brought me to my knees, one of the many things. But I'm sure, I think I need to travel more to see the world where it's at, because I think we're in an interesting place now with all the, weather change and everything.
So, all right, we definitely, I at least myself Definitely got the side of you that it's like, wow, Eugenia. If you look at her online, you think everything's beautiful and perfect, but it's obviously not. And I want to lighten things up a bit. I want to go through these what I call scratching the surface curiosity questions, which is just kind of fast, quick, the first thing that comes to your head.
Sure.
So we'll get into it when you're ready, okay?
I'm ready. Bring it up.
Sweet. What's your favorite book?
I love this book by Manny P. Hall. He was an esoterist, so I love a lot of his teaching, and also, I love Eckhart Tolle too, because living in the now is the hardest thing to do for me, not for people. Sorry, I'll take my responsibility. It's the hardest thing to do, so it's something that I need to be reminded.
Who's the most famous person you've met, and then who would you want to be like?
Oh my God, like fame, I don't understand that. That's like a concept, which is very weird. I met an amazing person. Her name is Benzair Buchtal, and she wrote an amazing book, and it's about Middle East. It's about the regime in Middle East and how, the suppression. There's a lot of things that are happening there in the cultural sense and religious sense. And she was very inspiring, and I met her, and then she was killed right away. And people asked her at the conference in US if she's okay to go back after writing this book, and she did. She did go back, and she was okay. And yeah, so that courage really inspired me. If you stand for your values, that's what matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. So what would you like to see on your gravestone?
My gravestone? Oh my God! Please, let's not go there. I'm not ready yet. I think you asked me the question before in my questionnaire. I don't know. Like a blank state. I'm ready to. I don't know. It's a blank state. It's going from one way to another. I don't know. I'm not sure. That's a hard question, but thank you for asking.
I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you want on your gravestone? What do you want it to say? How do you want to be remembered?
I don't know. Live life to the fullest, Live it, take chances. Take chances and have an experience. I think a lot of times we're stuck in, our head, an idea of something. And I think it's so important to, act on things and then just experience it, to be in the moment. So somehow I have to put it in a funny word. So thank you for making me think about my next comedy store show.
You are so welcome. So I want to end it out with just two more questions. Second to last, where can people find more of Eugenia Kuzmina?
I think you can Google, and lots of things can find you.
Okay.
Yeah, Google is a good.
Google it. And last question, I want to ask this because I fear this podcast being just like a self-help jargon where it's not really helping anybody. It's not really doing anything other than people just passively listening. So I'd love for you to give a piece of homework that someone out there can do for themselves to maybe actually use this podcast as something better than just self-help jargon.
Sure. Yeah. For me personally, I think you just choose a day where you're super honest and you just say what you think, actually, because I think and you do what you think too. You say what you think and you do what you say. So I think it's so super important. You don't lie and you just be accountable for your own life. I think it's so important. A lot of people, we can get away with things, but I think once you face yourself fully, it's a beautiful place to start. And I think just do that for a day.
I don't think I know for a fact that would be excellent.
right?
Excellent idea to capitalize on for sure. I'm going to try that too. I'm going to
Yeah,
put myself to the punch and just go, hey, how can I just be more honest, more real, and more active in that realness?
exactly. I think it's so important, and that's what it comes to. And I think you get to dark parts, but you also get to the lightest part. So it's a very special time when you face that.
I love that. Well, I loved hanging out with you. Guys, I want to let you all back to your life, and please reach out to myself or Eugenia. This was so much fun. I can't wait to release it, and also I can't wait to talk to you again and see what you're up to in maybe another half a year. How about that?
Thanks. Thank you, Logan. So excited to talk to you.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. You made it to the very end of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Scratch Your Own Itch with your host, Logan Tyler Nelson. To make it to the end? Gosh, that doesn't happen very much nowadays. I mean, especially with the constant distraction. So, I appreciate all of the efforts that you just took out of your day to make it to the end. And if you hit that subscribe button and leave a review, you would have no idea what that would mean to me. So thank you so much for taking the time to hit that subscribe button. And if you leave a review, check it out. Just screenshot it, send it to me, and I'd love to host your review out on the show. But don't ever forget, like I say, you matter and you're enough.